She told me loyalty depends on my mood. So I walked away. And when she came back asking for a second chance, I wasn't interested anymore. I 34M, living in the suburbs just outside Denver. Living a life that many would call comfortable but still feeling that subtle pull toward finding someone special. A few weeks ago, I matched with a woman on Tinder who instantly caught my attention. She was 28, had a bright smile, confident eyes, a great figure, and a bio that read, spontaneous, independent, and always down for deep conversations. That last part stuck with me because I've always been a sucker for meaningful talks, the kind of conversations that go beyond small talk and really let you see a person's heart and mind. So I thought to myself, why not? We started messaging back and forth for a few days, keeping things casual at first, talking about music, books, weekend plans. She came across as intelligent, witty, and seemingly mature. Eventually, I asked if she'd like to grab dinner at a cozy Italian place I know downtown. She agreed without hesitation. On the night of our date, I arrived a few minutes early. When she walked in, she was wearing a deep blue dress that was elegant without trying too hard. Honestly, she looked even better in person than in her pictures. She greeted me with a warm hug that felt like we'd known each other longer than a few texts, and then we settled into a corner booth. Dinner started off well. We talked about our childhoods, our travel goals, and whether we wanted kids someday. They were the kind of questions that hint at long-term compatibility without being overly intense. She told me she grew up in the Midwest, moved around a bit, and was now enjoying life after moving past what she called her party phase. I appreciated the honesty, and we even shared a few laughs over stories of awkward first dates and misadventures in online dating. For a moment, I actually felt comfortable, like this could be one of those rare dates that goes somewhere. But then, halfway through her glass of wine, she looked up and asked me, "So, what's your body count?" I blinked, surprised, because at first I thought she was joking. I even gave a half laugh and said, "Wait, are we really doing this?" But she just looked at me steadily, waiting for an answer. I know for some people it's a normal question, and maybe for them it is, but for me it felt completely out of place on a first date between pasta and wine. Not because I had anything to hide. I don't. But because I never expected that to be part of this kind of conversation. I paused, took a sip of water and answered calmly, "I don't really keep count, but right now none. I'm not seeing anyone at the moment." Her face didn't change much, but something about her posture shifted, almost like she leaned back to process it. I figured it was my turn to ask, so I said, "What about you?" She shrugged and said something I still think about to this day. "Body count is just a number. You live in a modern world. It's common everywhere." She said it without any real emotion, like she was quoting something she'd seen online. I wasn't angry, and I wasn't even upset. Just confused. It wasn't the number that mattered to me. I wasn't fishing for some purity test or trying to judge her past. But the way she said it, as if it were completely meaningless and transactional, made me pause. From that moment on, the vibe shifted. We finished our food, made some small talk about movies and weekend plans, but it felt like something had changed, like a curtain had been pulled back just enough to see that maybe we were not on the same page. And then I asked her one more question, just to understand her perspective better. "Do you believe in being loyal in a relationship? Like after marriage, would you be fully committed to your partner?" She tilted her head slightly, almost as if she wasn't expecting that kind of question. Then she gave a small smile and said, "It depends on my mood." Those words hit harder than anything else she'd said all evening. I waited for her to laugh, to say she was kidding, but she didn't. She took another sip of her wine, looking me right in the eyes as if what she said was completely reasonable. I repeated her words in my head. "Depends on my mood." So I asked, "Wait, do you mean that seriously?" She nodded and said, "Yeah. I mean, no one can promise how they'll feel forever. Attraction fades. Life happens. I just think it's unrealistic to expect absolute loyalty forever. People grow. Sometimes they grow apart. If I'm not happy or if I'm tempted, I won't lie about it. But I also won't promise something I'm not sure I can keep." I respected the honesty, but I could feel my heart sinking a little. We sat there for a moment, letting the weight of her words hang in the air. I leaned back in my seat, taking a second to process what she had just said. It wasn't that I expected people to be perfect or that I believed love was some fairy tale where no one ever struggles. But for me, loyalty isn't something you attach a condition to. You either choose it or you don't. And hearing someone say it could shift depending on their mood made me realize that we were operating on two very different definitions of commitment. I tried not to let my disappointment show, but inside, something had already changed. We wrapped up dinner without any drama, both of us keeping the conversation light as if we were two actors finishing a scene we both knew was coming to an end. When the bill came, I suggested we split it, and she didn't argue. As we walked out, she asked if I wanted to grab another drink at a nearby bar, but I politely declined, telling her I had an early morning. She nodded, unbothered, and we went our separate ways. I walked back to my car alone, my thoughts running faster than my feet. It wasn't that the date was terrible. In fact, on the surface it had been fine, but her words had pulled back the curtain on a set of values that just didn't align with mine. I didn't text her the next day. I didn't say, "Had a great time," or "Let's do this again sometime." I didn't even send a polite check-in. I thought about it, wondered if I was overreacting, reminded myself that people are allowed to have different views on relationships. But then again, so am I. 3 days later, my phone lit up with a text from her. "Hey, I had fun the other night. You've been quiet. Everything good?" I stared at the message for a while, feeling that she deserved a response. After all, she had been honest, and that was exactly why I couldn't ignore her. I finally replied, "Hey, thanks again for dinner. I think you're cool and I respect your honesty, but I don't think we're looking for the same kind of relationship. Wishing you the best." Her reply came quick. "Fair enough. Appreciate the honesty, too." Short, simple, no drama. Still, her words that night stayed with me. Not in a bitter way, but as a turning point. When someone tells you who they are, believe them. I told a close friend about the date a week later, and his reaction was immediate. "You dodged a bullet, man. That's not even a red flag. That's a billboard." I couldn't disagree. She was attractive, smart, and articulate, the kind of person I might have continued seeing if not for those few crucial lines of truth. But I wanted stability, trust, and effort, not something that could be undone by a passing mood. Life went on. I continued dating, still believing in real commitment, but now I made sure to ask the hard questions earlier. Then, about 2 months later, out of nowhere, I got another message from her. This time it was longer. She said she'd been thinking about our date, that maybe she'd spoken too casually about loyalty, and that she'd like a chance to explain herself, maybe over dinner again. She even admitted she had deleted her Tinder shortly after we stopped talking, because she realized she wasn't finding what she actually wanted. I read her message twice. Maybe in another time I would have agreed. Maybe I would have told myself that people can change, that everyone deserves a second chance. But as I sat there holding my phone, I realized something important. I didn't feel the same anymore. The curiosity was gone. The spark was gone. And more than anything, my interest was gone. So I typed back, "I appreciate you reaching out, but I don't think getting together again would be a good idea. I'm not interested anymore, and I think it's best we leave things where they are. I wish you all the best." She replied with just 2 words, "Fair enough." And that was it. No long paragraphs. No last-minute persuasion. Just an ending that felt quietly final. Walking away that night months ago had been the right choice. And turning down that second chance felt even better.